Welcome back. So we do hope that the matchstick will not clash and strike as it is there, because there is a flashpoint, which is the fuel from Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, as has been, of course, depicted here by Victor in the Daily Nation today. We have also the Mandamano soca that is going on right now, so to speak, and you can see it's a counter-attack. Looking at the ball, that is actually a time bomb that is waiting to explode, and the blue teams and the yellow teams are on the ground. This is Mandamano and the counter-attack. We've seen, of course, some of the sentiments being said by some of the leaders that are also shown here. Dan Mazo, I can't see you in this team. You don't have your jersey. And also, Isaac Moro, where are you in this team?
No, I think that
Tabitha, we should also be gagging for the women's, the women's league as well.
I think Dabal, as you have rightly asked the question, it's good to really. I'm sad. I'm really sad when I'm on this table, because I really, as a patriot, I feel we really sometimes take peace in this country for granted. And I don't know why we like pushing each other to the edge of the and we've been there many times. Maybe because we've never really flared up, maybe because it has never come close to you. But of course, the gentleman called Aladwa said that for Raila to get power, some people have to die. It's on record. It's not me saying. He said so. And also, just to ask my friend Manzo, myself, Kemunya, the late Kalembe Ndile, and others are so at point were attacked by Patrick Makau in Maboko. Seriously, by the way, in the 2017 campaign. So you can organize people to do havoc when you are not there. You don't have to be there physically. So don't defend him as if he had to be there and we see his face. He can control his troops from afar, and he should be properly investigated, and any other person who is doing so, because we are all politicians, we know how these things happen. The other thing that I also want to say is that when the people exercise their power directly, it's through the ballot. It is through other lawful means that are provided for in this constitution. But there is no exercising of power directly where you vandalize other people's property. There is no direct exercise of power where you take signatures without a clear formula of what is supposed to be. The only signatures that are provided for is under 255, 56 and 57 in chapter 16 of the Constitution with regards to how you can cause changes to this Constitution. That one is very, very elaborate. And of course, the enabling legislation, the referendum law. So any other issue is only a cause to public upheaval and uprising. And I don't think you can say, for example, the other way you can do is to recall your member of parliament, which you cannot do the first 24 months, which have not lapsed, and you cannot also do it after the 48 months. Well, members of parliament were able to cushion themselves that way. So anyone saying that then you can collect signatures to remove those people who are not voting according to you or whatever, then it's also not true, because the moment you vote a member of parliament into office or a government, you have actually donated that power. They are the ones who are supposed to go and exercise it on your behalf, either when they are in the executive, like the president and his cabinet, and the civil service, which is never elected anyway, or in parliament. When it comes to judiciary, fair enough. When there are disputes, the bar, then you have a single judge who is not elected by anybody, and Manzo is a lawyer, to make a decision of his own opinion. And a judge is presented with two opinions, which are equally meritable and meritorious. And every lawyer will say the law is clear. But that judge, because he's been put into office there, appointed by the president, after recommendation by the JSC, then has the final say. And of course, you can see, even in our case of CAS, they can have the power to overturn a decision even when you are sworn in. And we abide by that, lawfully and legally. When the Finance Act was passed into law, bill was passed into law and act now, again, you see Mogore Dande there saying whatever she said, and we can go to the Court of Appeal. There is a hearing on Thursday, on 20th, for application for stay. So that is a neater way of resolving issues. But then when you go to the rule of the jungle and chest dump and name call and try to frame a narrative around tribalism, And you know, the last general election, give credit to all of us. And we thank God for that, by the way. Both coalitions were very well represented. That's why you have Uhuru Kenyatta Kikuyu with Raila Odinga Luo. But then when you start having that conversation now, and Mother Karua, who only had 10 protesters in Kirinyaga, saying Mount Kenya should not be cowed, trying to incite Mount Kenya to come out as a region. There is no question of regionalism here. The issue here is that we had an election that was one of the most transparent elections. And I know I have Dan Mahanzo saying that we have an illegitimate government. No, we don't. There is no question of legitimacy. Because if there is a question of legitimacy, then Parliament in itself, as constituted, is illegitimate. And that is to mean every one of them should resign. You cannot question a presidential election and not question a parliamentary one. And anyone who had a petition went to court. By the way, this idea that there are some agents that were chased is not true. I was a presidential agent in the whole of Mount Kenya West region, and in particularly, I even deployed people in Kiambu town where Azimio tried to inflate the votes by 10,000. There is no agent you can chase away in any polling station. In any case, if you look at the biometrics, the whole EVR, the whole system, of even when you're not found in the register, they take a photo of you, there's a whole camera and water view to make sure that even when you vote manually, there is no way you can steal this election. And even after that election, I went to Mombasa and we lost. We lost to Abdul Swamad. I was an agent for Hassan Omar. And clearly we lost. So there is no way you can say that it is good this way and that way. But anyway, let me come to the issue of reconciliation and peace, because I see, Debal, you are taking us there. I think the problem with this is that some people want to foment a crisis to the point that then people are forced at the table. That's the whole idea. Make it, put pressure, at least somebody can sit at the table. But I want to tell you for sure, even if people are to sit at the table today, the outcome is already known. We have traveled this journey before. So you cannot keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results. There are only two options. You either sit at the table and negotiate with Raila and give him a share of government, or you crash. You crash the whole issue, because then it's in total. Now that, in my humble submission, is a test of whether we as Kenyans, it is actually testing our will and resolve on what we truly believe in. But I must also confess that you don't really quite get people understanding the whole picture. This is a call to leadership, to those who truly believe in our country. Because a Kenyan who is living on a daily basis, having food or not having food, depending on whether they are lucky today or tomorrow, has no luxury of thinking how a country is run. So it is very dishonest of a political class when we cannot resolve a crisis that we can clearly see, and then we take it to the wananchi. Wananchi will not help us to resolve the crisis. That I can tell you. And when you talk about the people, then you start asking yourself the question, Debal, which people? Because I have my people, you have your people, they voted for you, they voted for our government. So which people? Nobody has a monopoly of the people, But then, it is also a question of deploying what you are good at. So is it structured chaos against the government that is still yet to form, that does not have properly, the thrust is crushed when you hear people saying that there are no Michukis and Matiangis, but those ones came much later when, and there were seasoned, administrators and what have you. But this is a government of hustlers. It was a peace and revolution. It brought in so many new people that are not accustomed to government. Then you don't want them to settle, so that then you claim their inexperience. So I think what I'm trying to say is this, Debal. It is a very serious a lack of leadership of insurmountable proportions of the political class when they take the contest to the people.
But we have to be allowed to the fact that when we're talking about the people, we're not talking the whole trade, the wholesale of people. They have representative. They have representative in the churches. They have representatives in the civil societies. They have representatives in the communities as well. So those are the people. Yeah, we need to be very clear when you tell us who are the people you're talking about.
Even those leaders are people. You cannot tell a community leader to come and resolve a political crisis because the political class cannot agree. That one I don't agree. Because those people are also trying to find their own relevance. Yeah, they're trying to find the constitution, this one that we voted for.
So we have the clergies who are calling for them to actually sit down. So even them, they're trying to get their own relevance.
Of course, yes. There's no question about it. Some of them were openly Azimio. So they are advancing an Azimio agenda by saying, let's talk.
But you see, sometimes when we come to the
Like
table
Bishop
and we have all these
Muheria,
confirmation biases in our heads.
Was seen to be supporting the government.
No, I don't
No, he's not.
Bishop Muheria is very neutral.
Just a moment.
I
will
and also I want to tell you.
Isaac, I want to advise you or allow you also to drop names, especially of
I am taking
clergy.
my personal responsibility
Yes.
of Bishop Muheria. I did not find him to be neutral. That is my mistake.
But he's
we
not
were also
himself.
denied. We were also denied.
He's
No, he
not
can
here.
defend himself, but I also have my own opinion. We were also denied to speak in churches because we were seen to be advancing the candidate of William Ruto. So let us not try to lie.
No.
Religious leaders are not
It is a
neutral.
practice everywhere.
Just a moment. Allow me to
Azimio.
just butt in, because it is very. You need to be careful, because all these leaders we're talking about, of course, and they're church leaders. They have constituents. They are
For sure
actually
they have.
constituents, and the churches we
But
have
also
people
we have
who
an opinion over
we have
them.
people who support Azimio or support Kenya Kwanza, and so if you take a stand that their archbishop is actually leaning on one side, what are you
Yes.
doing, trying to
No,
polarize?
I am
yes,
calling
that's what I'm
upon
saying. It's
him.
not. No, I'm saying it is
but-
not admissible.
No,
With all due respect.
I agree with you, but
Yes.
also allow me to say I stand by my statement.
All right, let me just hear.
I think that issue of the church and Bishop Muheria, the Catholic Church has been very clear all over the world and even in Kenya that they do not practice politics in a holy place. And what some people have done is to be allowed actually to abuse these holy churches and do politics there. So something which is even biblical, that Jesus never allowed business to go on in the church, and that cannot happen. That cannot be. And I think the Catholic Church is perfect on that, and it cuts across. Even when you go to the Catholic churches, the fathers there tell us, our policy. Please, when you give you the podium, do not do politics. And I think that went across. And give it to Bishop Muheria. He has been very neutral and has advised. Like now, he has called for talks. Really, there's nothing wrong with that. As a church leader, he cannot watch the country burn, and I think that should be withdrawn. Really, let's not bring. Some churches allow politics to go on, in those places, and to receive monies from politicians. But that was never done by the Catholic Church. Really, honestly, they did not do that sort of thing.
Right, and of course, if they take their policy and their stand regarding the invites of politicians, you'll take it to be the government's position that now they're leaning on government. Isaac.
No.
Oh, I like that note.
No,
Since you're not given a podium to actually do your politics as well, because that's their stand, then you'll take it to be this is a government position, and they're leaning.
Both the leaders of Azimio and Kenya Kwanza went to church. I don't think you can say it's only one place that was that one side was going to church, but at some point we were barred from going to certain churches and talking, and it was a government policy. In fact, we even saw one Azimio leaning businessman threatening the members of the ICA clergy.
All right.
So
I don't want to bring the church into
that. Let us not go into that, because that is very clear.
Tabitha, yes, because we have to go to the issue of restoration of peace yes.
Yeah, but because my colleagues have just touched church kidogo, I'm personally a Catholic, and yes, our rules are very clear in terms of politics in church. Our churches are quite very strict. So for this specific bishop, I'm not in a position to comment on that. But I want to agree with my colleague Mheshimiwa Isaac, because the IPCA church in Kenol was tear gassed when we were doing campaigns, when Dr. William was going to attend that church, and so we've been affected in one way or the other through the same churches. All in all, we've seen leaders that are trying to come out in terms of reconciliation, in terms of sitting down. But as my colleague has said very clearly, this is a political issue. This is a political process. And now, further to that, it still narrows to individual political benefits. That's where we are. And you see, when I had Senator Maanzo talk about illegitimacy and not a legitimate government, then I ask sometimes, we fail to understand. If this government is not legit, then why are you coming to us? Why are you asking us? Why are you telling us to do this or to do that? Then why can't you do what you're supposed to do? Because in the first place, you don't trust that we are legit. How comes we are not seeing the governors, especially case example, maybe for example, Azimio, if I would quote the governor for somewhere like Kajiado, who's Azimio Lelenku, why is he not fighting with his counterpart that, you know, I won, you won, and things like that? Or I want Nusumkate in the county government. Why are the 47 governors not, are we not seeing that? Why are we not seeing that in the 47 elected senators? The 290 elected members of parliament, why are we not seeing that forth and back? Why is it only for the presidential seat for William Samoei Ruto? It's because the person of big interest is Raila Odinga, is the one who wants that personal benefit. Now, when it comes to that reconciliation, we want peace in this country. We don't have a problem with that. That is what we need, that is what we want. But what needs to come out clearly to Kenyans is that the challenge that we are having right now is that as much as you want to sit and talk, because me and Manzo will never fight. Take it to the bank, okay? But the issue that is here is the interest. And as my colleague has mentioned, let me emphasize on this. The Kenya Kwanza government, the only big difference that is there currently is that most of the leaders in place are new and a young generation. And we are very grateful and very thankful because it is in the wisdom of the president that he saw, let me work with this generation. Because enough times during Moi's time, we've always been told, you are the leaders of tomorrow, you are by word of mouth. His Excellency William has brought that to reality, has given that opportunity. And because we've had those, the likes, you can see someone like Mother Karua, for Christ's sake, criticizing and bringing the narrative of Mount Kenya tribal and say, Mount Kenya people come out. Mount Kenya people come out where? Those people are business people. They are looking at by 8 to 5, what have I been able to make as far as sales are concerned. I have one of the my good supporters who was speaking, and she tells me, she's a lady, she's a business lady, and tells me, you know, I have to work extra so that I compensate the 3 days that Mandamano will be there because I will lose. They are thinking in terms of revenue. They are thinking in terms of the economy factor. So it's trying to incite Mount Kenya people and put people in the playground stages to play football and all that, trying to create narratives. It is so sad. And these are leaders who have been there, said that they are so much used to this power. And that is what they are missing, and that is what they are wanting, not for the people. I understand Raila. You know, when you test the element of, you've been, of course, a prime minister, then you come in and you do your thing, and now there's handshake, and you now still get to power. It is smooth, it is going. Then you become so comfortable in 2022 election, so comfortable that you know, sure bet, that this one is home and dry, that you're going to take that. And now when reality hits you, what do you resort to? You resort to what is happening. Because for his own interest, he wants that. And when he keeps on lying to us and saying, oh, no, I don't want to handshake, then what do you want? If it is not that, what do you want? Because do you want to tell me putting sufurias on our heads has reduced the cost of unga? Makiu, you know very well, during their handshake moment, their time, how much was unga retailing at? It was about 250 at that particular time. Then they lied to Kenyans, 100 shillings. Me and you remember very clearly, we could go to the shelves and look for that 100 unga. At time we came to a point whereby our staple food, which is unga, you could go and the supermarket says you can only pick one packet. We were there at that particular time. You can only pick one particular packet. A staple food, a common staple food like that. Why? Because at that time, they did not even change those prices. What did they do? They did nothing. But us, we've come in and we are still working on reducing, because right now it's retailing 170 and all that. We are working towards, but at their time, that did not happen. The confidence that Baba has been having and the people who are surrounding him. I've had a senator saying, oh, our colleagues who are surrounding Honorable William and many others who are surrounding him, that they are making him chest thumping. Let me make it clear. His Excellency William is a leader who makes his own decisions. He's not rational. He's not influenced. He's not coerced. He makes his own straight decision that this is this. And let's look back at Mwai Kibaki. You know, sometime we could see Mwai Kibaki coming out and he's talking like he's not talking and he's just quiet there and he's saying, you know, like that. And we were like really? William Ruto, the experience that he has in all these governments that he's been in, is the man for change for this country. And because the opposition knows very well that the strategy that William has is going to overturn 360 this country. This country is going to leave a total legacy. And because they know, because of their age bracket and all those factors, this is the last opportunity that Baba has. And that's why I say understand him. Because this is the last opportunity that he has. And though hence, that is why he's trying to use this formula that he's using to continuously try and bring what he's going to bring. You know, William Ruto is also very good-hearted. And so in the first months as we incorporated and kept on settling and all that, of course they thought that quickly he will do the thing and say, you know, come on table, do this. And that is what was not happening. He kept on focusing on having a team that is going to keep on focusing and being able to deliver. We saw the other time they're trying to ask why have we incorporated some more cabinet in the meeting with the president. When they normally have a meeting, they've incorporated the likes of the SG, the advisors. Yeah, they've been done those invites. Then they ask, oh, why, blah, blah, blah. But you see, they forget the reason as to why there are more additional other stakeholders to be able to see it. The main reason is to be able to achieve the manifesto that we promised the people, because the same like the SG, this is the person who's also still going around and meeting with the people and having a feel with the people. Let me talk to our hustlers. We have not left you. We are very much with you, because they are trying to change a narrative of an economic narrative, but they are forgetting what we've been able to do. Hustlers, we've been able to provide that hustler fund. Allow me to repeat that. We've been also able to provide the issue of agriculture in terms of the fertilizer and the cost of food is going to come down. And in that food factor, I want to say that earlier I was trying to say it is the high time we move away from one staple food of maize in terms of ugali and move to other types of staple foods, even cassava, arrowroots, and many other, so as to broaden that particular aspect, so that all Azimio talks about is just one commodity. That is it, and that is all about it. And lastly, on the issue of the food school feeding program that has been passed in the same budget. In the same budget, let me add this finally. Our honorables, the Kalonzo, the Raila, they have their retirement benefit money. They are being paid from taxpayers' pockets. And out of their pay, their money that they are receiving, they are still doing whatever they are going to do. When their security is being actually removed, even those funds should actually be set aside. And in Article 37, it clearly says every person has a right to picket, demonstrate, and it says peaceably and unarmed. I want to state categorically, Dibal, even carrying a stone, because they are very good with carrying stones. Hata hiyo mawe ni silaha. That stone is armory when they carry that. And then, so they are completely out of order. And that's why we say these demonstrations are not peaceful. So as much as they are reading 37, can they read it in full?
Thank you.
In full, and be able to understand and highlight unarmed and peaceful? Can they do that?
All right. Unarmed and peaceful. I think we've had a bellyful of the demonstrations. Can we now turn the crack, because I can see we're remaining with a few minutes to talk about this proposal that has been put forward by the political coalition, coalition committee, regarding the installation or considering the Kriegler report, especially when it comes to recruitment of the IBC officials. Because right now we know the bipartisan talks, they've fallen through the cracks. But still we have a by-election that is upcoming. We still have a boundary review that has to be done.
Yeah, you know, that's a question you had asked my two colleagues, and no one wants to go there.
No one wants to go there.
The Kriegler report is truth, justice, and reconciliation. So first you must acknowledge truth, not fraud. And then, you know, you cannot have justice if there are things which people are not over with. And then at that point, then you reconcile. You see right now, one of the biggest headaches is that even where you lose a member of parliament or any elected leader, you have no IBC to do a by-election. And I think one of the things Kenya Kwanza wants to do, and President Ruto, is to elect and choose the commissioners favorable to them single-handedly. The wisdom of President Moi in 1997 was IPPG, that let the commissioners come from political parties because they are the stakeholders. That's the practice all over the world. But what President Ruto wants to do is to choose these commissioners who are favorable to him through his systems on his own, without involvement of other presidential or other stakeholders in the country. The election was highly contested, and the results are 50-50, if not more. So there's no way you will scrape through a few loopholes, and then, of course, immediately after election, Azimio had more members of parliament than Kenya Kwanza, meaning that gave a direction as to where the country is, who the people have elected, what party the people have elected. You cannot ignore all that. Go and form IBC on your own. It is a recipe for chaos. It is not truth. It is not justice, and there is no likelihood of reconciliation if if the election issue is not going to be addressed at all. If it is going to be by chesty-thumping and you can do whatever you feel like doing, then I think the results are well known.
If your memory serves you well, will you maybe be able to tease out some of the issues that Kriegler report had raised concerning recruitment of the IBC?
There is a law which was amended recently by Honorable Ishungwa as a leader of majority on behalf of the government, and was quickly rushed through Senate. In fact, the amendments we had proposed were dropped at the last minute, and the leader of majority in Senate said, sorry, we have a political party instructions, and we have information, from above, and therefore...
where did the majority leader say that?
It is on the answer. There is a political party.
How do you say that a majority leader came and told
let
the
him finish,
House,
then
we have a political...
There was a political party position anyway, and that's how everything is done in the House.
And
that's why there's no House, there's no longer
which bill? Which bill are you talking about? That
this is from the one amending the composition and the creation
of the IBC.
Of the IBC. Mm-hmm. It was the last thing, serious thing. As soon as government was formed, it was the first thing which was done. And I can assure you, the committee dealing with justice had amendments which were suitable. But as soon as there was a political party position, Kenya Kwanza position, there was no debate. It was just a show off. And that's why I'm saying we have no House. We have a rubber stamp for the executive. Mm-hmm. And the House is going to do whatever the executive wants. And that's the sad affair of the country. I wish Parliament could be left to be independent. Unfortunately, it is not. And therefore, you will not expect any law to come from the House. Just like the finance bill, it was a fraud. And that's why it is before the courts. And the country is being run fraudulently. It's a high time somebody told President Ruto that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not fair for that man to say the country is being run fraudulently. Because I would challenge that statement by asking what is fraudulent. Is it fraudulent because they are not...
All right, can I just also...
I'll tell you what is
fix your mic.
Fraudulent numbers.
Yeah, I'll fix your mic as we listen to
numbers.
Tabitha.
Yeah, but the fraud is the number. The voting in the House is fraudulent.
I think voting is public.
I'm actually seeking your indulgence just to fix your mic so that in the meantime we can hear from Tabitha as we fix your mic. I think it's dropped. Yeah. Tabitha, you can actually comment on that issue of IBC, the Kriegler report as well, and where we are at. Isn't it a niggling worry that we still have a by-election that is upcoming and we don't have any commissioners installed into place? Or will it be run by the Secretariat to say everything continues apace, despite the fact that we don't have the commissioners?
In that regard, I know it's one of the issues that even the opposition have been raising. And at this time, yes, we should be having the commissioners in place, but also there is the law that guides us. Of course, in the event that we have this kind of gap, there are timelines to be able to put and set in place for the commissioners to be in place on time. So where we are, and when Senator is purporting that we've been lured and the executive is the one running the houses is completely not in place, because anything that does not favor them, they always want to come and keep on tarnishing. So they need to. We are allowing a normal process to take place, the normal process of putting in new commissioners in place, and it's in that regard that when that is done, all should move. But you see, right now they're taking advantage that that space has not been filled, and so they want to try and keep us on toes of negativities. And I would want to tell the opposition, we agree and we allowed you to do accountability for the government, to do check for the government, and they should just do the checks by also giving us other offers in terms of, if this is not done, this can be done, and like just running with the what is supposed just to take place and take a normal place with time.
I think my mic is back.
It is.
I think I do not agree with my brother Dan Maanzo. And we at times agree, even if we disagree, about the issue of fraud. The word fraud. The government was elected into power. It won by a very thin margin. And if at all these people had the apparatus of government, they would have rigged themselves. President Ruto won by 234,811 votes, similar to what President Mwai Kibaki won in 2007. And Raila Odinga came too close, yet he was very far. So the issue of fraud, really, they were not even able to prove. That is why there was a unanimous decision at the Supreme Court. 7 judges agreed. And we keep on going back to that anyway, because of the fact that they would want to delegitimate the government. Right. They are trying to create facts on the ground so that then people can say this government was not properly elected. That is where the issue is. But now, even when it comes to the issue of IEBC, I do not hold the view that commissioners should be nominated by political parties. I don't agree. Because if we saw the Cherera 4, the 4 handshake commissioners who opposed the 3 minority, and they have since resigned, that's what you are going to have. If you have Debal being in the commission, and Mwaura and Maanzo and Tabitha, all each nominated by the parliamentary political parties, what happens to those parties when they diminish their worth in parliament, as is always happening? Every 5 years we have different political parties. So if today you create an IEBC based on the current strength of parliament, tomorrow there will be no ODM, for example. Yeah, there may not be no Wiper. I'm not saying they are not going to, but that has been the trend anyway. In 2013 we had CORD, we had NASA, now we have Azimio. And you can say of Kenya Kwanza, Jubilee, Coalition Jubilee. So you cannot really expect that you'll have commissioners on that kind of quicksand. And also remember, the issue of quorum of IEBC was resolved at the Supreme Court, number 1. Number 2, Debal, the decision of the majority of commissioners to moderate results is not constitutional. The fact that there can be 7 commissioners, it doesn't mean they will vote to agree on who is their presidential candidate, because they don't vote on behalf of Kenyans. Now, Johan Kriegler, who I happen to have met in South Africa in 2016 together with his lovely wife, said that we should constitute a commission 2 years before elections. That was not done in 2017. I think it was a bit chaotic. But you look at Chebukati Wafula Wanyonyi, he really did a very good job in following what the Supreme Court had declared in 2017, and it was followed to the letter. That's why the Supreme Court agreed with him. Of course, elections are never perfect 100%, and that is not to condone rigging. No, no election is 100%. If you look at Joe Biden, the way he was elected, there were contestations everywhere. There was even insurrection by Donald Trump in such a 200-year-old democracy, but eventually Biden was declared the winner, going forward. So I think let us also not try to imagine whatever if we truly believe in the rule of law, then we should also abide by the decisions of the Supreme Court. And let me say this, because it's important. Increasingly, we are seeing political contests wearing legal jersey and going before a judge to be adjudicated. And of course, they will have an opinion, because the 3 arms of government are very expansionist in nature, the empire building, because when you're in the judiciary, you must create, a new grounds, like ELRC is trying to ensure that it's a court of equal jurisdiction with the constitutional division of the High Court, for example. If you come to Parliament, you can discuss anything under the sun. If you go to the executive, we have unfettered power to superintend over the affairs of Kenyans within its territory and beyond. So you find that kind of empowerability, and these are never even legal arguments These are political contests. That is why you see a whole coalition like Azimio going to court on the finance bill, for example. Is it really a legal argument? If it was, it would be left to lawyers, but it's not. And I want to say this, Debal. Of course, eventually, I am glad that as we continue to do so, we are exercising our democracy. Unfortunately so, too much freedom, also like too much paralysis, too much analysis breeds paralysis. You don't end up, having a system going forward. Some level of strong state is required, so that then you agree and move forward. You are our moderator. If we tend to go overboard, you tell us no, and even if we hold to our positions, but you are the moderator. That's why you are here. That is the role of government. So that even if there are so many contestations here and there, but by the end of the day, we who are in Kenya Kwanza, our clock is running, is ticking. Mm-hmm. We will be judged after 5 years. What did you do to Kenyans? But also there must be provision of leadership, so that then we are not calling. It's not a call to chaos. It doesn't mean because everyone must air their views. Mm-hmm. Freedoms or rights have responsibilities, but we emphasize more of the rights because it suits us, because then it is actually within the political realm. But also things must crystallize. There must be some formality. There must be some formation. Things must settle and move forward. Otherwise, it has been a trend in this country that for 5 years we spent at least 2 years contesting with one another, contending with one another. Then 3 years but now on this one from 2018, we are seeing a new phenomenon where you actually preemptively, ab initially destabilize the government from taking off. That is
preemptively and
ab initially.
Ab initially.
Yes.
I've never heard of
from beginning. It's not an English word.
No, it is ab initio.
Ab initio.
Yeah, it's Latin.
It's Latin.
A-B-N-I-N-I-T-I-O. Ab initio.
Right.
Yes.
I just need to just, be very sure of ab initio that I've never seen in my dictionary. So it's good you've clarified that.
Yes.
But if we go back to the Kriegler report, we have, Kriegler himself just picking out on the issue of legislations, where he says then, as the legislation now stands, Kenya's Electoral Commission does not seem to conform to any clearly defined appointment principles. Inevitably, its credibility suffers since key stakeholders cannot feel a sense of part ownership of a structure, nor can they place much faith in the inherent professional competence. This was an ill then. Even with the constitution that we have right now, it seems that we're not curing this particular ill when it comes to the appointment of the commissioners.
You see, Kriegler is talking of key stakeholders. A major stakeholder of election is a political party or people organized in a political party. So the moment key stakeholders don't feel part of it, they don't feel the credibility, they don't trust it, then how are you going to build a nation on that? And that is the basis of building a nation. So the moment you do not have proper elections or doubted elections, the whole structure is built on quicksand. And when the rains come, it will be washed away. Similarly, when you have fraudulently acquired legislation, like the legislation as the amendment of Honorable Ishungwa, which was fraudulently rushed through the House and rubber stamped by the President. How do you expect her to trust that law? How do you expect her to trust a bill, which includes things stakeholders have rejected, and it is fraudulently taken through, the House? Then now it goes to court. And when it is in court, I'm sure the courts will come up with a decision, most probably. And you can see this bill is clearly unlawful. It's clearly unconstitutional. But people have ganged around such a bill to say it is the proper bill, and there's no referendum on it or something to change the constitution. So, just like unarmed protests. But the moment you come now with armed police, and start shooting and tear gassing Kenyans, they will pick stones. It's a reaction to protect their self-defense. So if the police stays away, you will never see anybody armed, or you will never see, and the demonstrations will never be wrong. So we are saying there are some lucky principles. We really need to be truthful to ourselves and to our country. And if there was no fraudulent leadership, then every Kenyan will feel very happy and will be at ease. If I were Kenya Kwanza. I will not spend all the time fighting Kenyans, fighting voters. Don't be so proud that you merely scraped through what was highly doubted in the country. You'll be doing like President Boy. Try to win everybody to support the government, not killing everybody so that you remain with the government alone. So I think something is not right. And I want to say that President Ruto is not an angel, he's not a god, he's a human being. He can make mistakes. He should be able to accept. This government should be able to accept when it makes mistakes. The police should know and accept when they have killed innocent children in protests. Before you shoot, you should take personal responsibility. I know they are helpless because the head of state has ordered them to go to that there will be no mandamano, and therefore don't accept. We have not suspended Article 7 of the Constitution. We have not suspended the Constitution. We are a democracy. Why don't you allow people to demonstrate and tell you what they feel?
Peacefully.
Peacefully. And I'm sure if President Ruto allowed peaceful demonstration, there would have been peaceful demonstration. President Uhuru showed it when he allowed Raila Odinga to be sworn as the people's president. It was a very painful thing. No single person was killed. But you remember the day Raila Odinga was prevented from going through the streets of Kenya when he was coming from abroad. 17 people died. The police bear the brand of that blood. The children who died recently, somebody must take responsibility and apologize for it and compensate those families. And that mistake should never be repeated again in the country. But I am very sure from the withdrawal of security, from every ill will shown to the opposition, from the hatred shown, and from the tribalism being promoted by the likes of Honorable Ishungwa
But it's not hatred, as they put it. It is you toe the line as far as law is concerned. If you're not following the law, well, then why should you be provided security in terms of the demonstrations and the skirmishes?
No, I'm saying the withdrawal of
that's what I'm saying.
Personal security.
What was the rhyme and reason behind it that the CS has advanced? That
you know, every member out of the competition which goes with the election, actually you are likely to have very many by-election, and we have no IBC in the country. The moment you withdraw security of such people, there has been a certain gentleman in the police force who has been shooting live bullets to Raila's car. Thank God the car has been is bulletproof. And even the other time a hammer or something was used to break the screen. This particular policeman came armed to shoot direct live bullets to Raila Odinga. Of course, doing that as a country, you are looking for a lot of trouble. You are looking for civil war. You are looking for serious trouble in the country when you want, to assassinate leaders of a leadership. You should be able to persevere the opposition. The opposition is there to correct the government. This is a government which doesn't want to be corrected, and it is ready to kill.
We need to be winding up right now. Yes. I skipped you. Sorry. Tabitha, then you get to your closing remarks, then also Isaac Bora and then Dan Mazo.
Okay.
The parting shots as well. But you can actually have a return just briefly.
Yeah. I just feel that it's like the opposition, they don't know what they want. They don't know why they are doing these demonstrations. And every time they're trying to come up with different narratives. You see, when they talk about the police role, one of the key roles is to protect the people and their own properties. That is their mandate. And so they want to say they be left and the police not to be there. Because they have their hidden agendas. In Kitengela, what happened in that particular supermarket, the police were not there in the first instance because Kitengela has been a very peaceful area and a very peaceful place. And then all of a sudden, these boys are coming in and vandalizing everything. So you want to tell me police will not come? Is that not robbery with violence? If it is not, then what do you call it? So looking at even the issues and how they're trying to bring, even this Kugla issue in terms of the IBC and then trying to put the scare like, oh, now we're going to have this by-election. Timelines will be put. There is no problem. That will be done, okay? Because the report had what it has put in place in terms of new voter registration, demarcations of different boundaries in place. And this commission has actually, on our side, we're talking of different representations up and including the church. We have that.
Looking at the timelines with what even was declared from the National Assembly with the seat of Basani, we're in July.
Yes, we're in July, no problem. But what I'm
28th
saying
is almost here.
Perfect. You see, those are the things that they should be coming soberly to table and being able to discuss. But they want to go and throw stones. Now, if you continue throwing stones on Wednesday, on Thursday, and Friday, then why are you complaining that ABCD is not happening and you're not giving room for things to be able to happen? You are taking and you have said every week 3 days, every week 3 days. Like seriously, you as a member of parliament, you are earning your money, you are comfortable, you're okay, you've even been given other necessities that are beneficial to you. You are fine. Even if you don't go to that office, you'll still earn. There are Kenyans here. Actually, the system has changed whereby you have to be paid with the number of hours that you are working. And like any employer, why will they pay you and you've not reported to the same work and there's no revenue that has been generated for that particular day? We have women in Kamukunji, in the Gikomba market, in the Mudhurwa market, who are doing their business and they're looking at how they're going to close simply because the Azimio people are talking of how does IBC concern Mudhurwa person who is there or the Mamamboga person who is there. It is very sad. So then in a nutshell, as I close, let me talk to the youth and tell them they desist from the issues of drugs and also being used to be able to vandalize and be able to focus and give us time to be able to give them the opportunities that are actually coming on board, and let us have our own peaceful country.
Thank you, Tabitha. Let's get closing remarks as a Maura briefly.
Yeah, I think it's really unfortunate to hear what Dan Manzo is saying today. I am very shocked. I've been with him shows with him for a long time. I want to reiterate again today. He borders on incitement, but that is his opinion. But you don't say that somebody somewhere wants to shoot Raila Odinga's car. But unless Azimio knows,
he's been doing it.
But unless Azimio knows who is this person and whether they are sponsoring him to attract sympathy.
Exactly.
Because that is true.
He's from the
Rift Valley. Yeah, he could also be Azimio.
No. Let's not allow.
He could also be Azimio. No, he could, Tabitha, he could also be Azimio. That's why they can use him from Rift Valley. Okay. I mean, the coalitions have supporters from everywhere. Yeah, UDA is a very national party, just like Wiper. So I think so. Therefore, let us not celebrate. You know, when you know, like the way we were taunting each other when we were small.
Yes.
Like kuja nikupige. That is, you know, Azimio is inviting us to a fight.
Thank you.
And I think that is not right. I wish you were more patriotic. Of course, it is not in your business to be patriotic. It's structured chaos. But I want to tell Kenyans, those who are believers, like myself, and you, Debal, I don't know, because I know Dan Manzo is also a son of a pastor. We have been together with him. He's actually the co-chair of the prayer breakfast.
Exactly.
Let us pray for this nation so that it can actually attain its destiny, because I can see these protests and grandstanding can actually abort the destiny.
Thank you.
Of actually, ushering in a revival.
Thank you.
For the benefit of Africa and the whole world.
All right, thank you. Dan Manzo, you want to?
Yes, I just want to finalize and say all Kenyans should think about our country. We have only one country to be. We can make the best out of it. I want to say that finally the Bible says that good rulers bring a lot of peace in their country, and the bad rulers bring disharmony and downtrade of a country. And therefore, everyone needs to ask themselves, what can they do to make the country better? I think leaders should listen to each other and do the best for this country. It is not too much to ask that we have free and fair elections through an IBC, just like Kugler said, everyone believes in. And please, bring down the cost of living. Overtaxation kills the economy of a country.
Thank you. Good point to wind up there on. Of course, I want to thank you, Tabitha Mutita. I really appreciate you coming through this morning and for that very incisive, penetrative, very also feisty, spirited conversation you've put through. Thank you so much. I want to thank you also, Isaac Moro, for your contribution this morning as well. At some point, I thought you'll climb on this table. And when we began this show today, I was like, oh my goodness. Today, I've got to have, I'd better taken some good breakfast. Dan Manzo, also want to appreciate you so much. And we do hope as well, this conversation will not go the other way, where we're talking about debts and we're talking about destruction come tomorrow, Thursday or Friday. If this demonstration is going to be there, can we break out from this particular mold and bondage